Okay, one second. Welcome. Hi. I know I have too many buttons to push for this. All right, welcome to TNF podcast, no longer TPP, now TNF. Second episode, season 4, episode 2. We've got a returning guest for this podcast. So welcome YouTube, welcome Kick, welcome Twitch, welcome back also Deftwerks. All right, Defty. It's been a while. Kind of give us a little update. What's been going on since the last time you were here? Or just update on life in general. Start there.
I've grown older. I've grown wiser. I've got more grey hairs. I'm moving country again. It's all happening. There's loads happening. But yeah, no. Other than that, I'm just same me, same, just being myself as usual. But yeah, there's moving country later on this year. Going back to the UK. So yeah.
Nice. So like near the end of the year or what? When exactly? Just curious. Like time frame wise.
Well, the reason we're going back in sort of June time is because academically it's the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The main reason we're going back as well is just because it's sort of run its course. There's a few different like tax reasons here in the Netherlands where I currently live, called like the 5-year tax gap essentially, and that's stopping soon, and we are currently in a position where we're struggling as it is. So it's
Okay.
unfortunately, when you've not got that tax gap to help you as well, on top of that, it really screws with you as well. So
That makes sense. That makes sense. I know you probably talked about this on the first time you were on here, just to kind of, we always kind of go over the etymology of your username. Can you guys remind us how Deftworks came into being?
Sure. Yeah. So originally, my alias when I used to play games and stuff like that was Heligo. I used to use Heligo, or before that, I used Mezzanine or Mezzanine, however you want to say it. And for the longest time, that's what I kind of went with. I actually used to play Dota 2 quite a lot, and there was sort of a want to have a clan during the course of this one period of the game. And to have the clan, you had to have a 4-letter word or 4-letter kind of acronym or whatever to kind of represent your clan. And I ended up doing a bit of research and really enjoying the word Deft. It's just an interesting name, an interesting word. I quite like it. It's got an interesting meaning to it. So I thought, I'm just going to go with Deft. I quite like it. And then because I didn't want just the clan to be called Deft, I want to be a little bit elongated, and I went with Works with an E rather than O, because I like playing with words. I think playing with words is exciting and fun, and it just kind of went from there really. And then when it was the idea of making a channel, I didn't want to go with the channel as Heligo, although that is an interesting name and everything. The reason I went with Deftwerks is it feels original. It doesn't feel like anyone else really uses it anywhere, everywhere. I've never run into anyone else with a similar sort of name to it.
True.
And and also I'd already kind of made it sort of a community-based thing when I made it as a clan back in the day. So it felt like it wasn't just for me. It was kind of the fact that it felt a community name was Deftworks rather than it was specifically to me.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. And then I know you use a thing on your channel. If you guys ever see the first channel, it's a thing called fact or fact time, or is that a fact, or how the line goes? Is that a fact? But can you guys give me anything that we may have not known, or me or if they know, we might know, but anything of that know about Defty as a person? Like is that an alpaca? I see that alpaca.
She's playing with her alpaca. She's playing with her alpaca.
Look, I warned you, the ADHD is ADHDing really bad today, and I have fidget toys everywhere.
The recording caught you saying, I got really bad ADHD, and I was like, mute. I forgot to mute during the opening credit, so I could hear that. That's like, it's going to be part of the podcast. But yeah, look at that, Defty. You have an interesting
fact. Cut that out!
I'll work on it later. All right.
In terms of like the fact thing was just something that I sort of really enjoy facts. I used to watch a lot of in the UK we have a TV program called QI, and it first started in the 2000s with Stephen Fry doing the presentation of it. I love Stephen Fry to bits. He's one person I'd love to meet. And it kind of got me, although I was already interested in like facts and in interesting knowledge and stuff like that, I really wanted to kind of keep going with that idea of like branching out, wanting to learn more and everything. So the idea of kind of learning facts is not only for my benefit, but for everyone else's as well.
True.
And I was hoping that other people, like-minded people, would be able to join the channel and sort of appreciate it like I did.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's a kind of a fact about me by telling you about
Those
the
are
facts.
And Danny knows the show. He knows the show that you're talking
It's a brilliant program. They do like every series that they've done is based on a letter. So they started at letter A, and they tried to do a lot of facts to do letter A and what have you. And there's only about 8 episodes to 12 episodes per series. Unfortunately, Stephen Fry stepped down, and it's Sandy Toksvig who now does the show. And I'm not a massive fan of Sandy Toksvig.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I feel she's a bit she's not my cup of tea.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting fact. So every time someone goes in, if you guys checked out this channel, redeemed that fact, he now asks you to tell you what fact you want to hear. Well, it could be any random topic, and you get an interesting fact out of it. So definitely good time indeed. All right, so I want to recap. This is the last one for me and Faye have been on the podcast. Faye, you want to do your update first? Go ahead.
Update on what?
on what you've been doing the last month. I know things have changed.
Oh, I found a new job. That was exciting and scary because I moved and didn't have all of my paperwork readily available, and they do not make it easy.
They don't. That's true.
To get paperwork anymore. So, yeah, but it's good. We're good. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm all like undercover now. So.
Wait, what? What do you mean by undercover?
Because I didn't have my paperwork. I'm undercover. Don't ask too many questions.
Don't ask too many questions.
Joke.
That's a bad joke. Okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah, not much has changed from the last month. I think work's still the same here. I did one house project, which is actually one you can actually enjoy, which was the stairs, because Faye has complained to me many things about there are nails in the stairs, it creaks, one of them like cracked in half. It's like, all right, we're gonna go replace the whole thing.
Feel safe on the guys. The stair had a crack going from wall to wall, and it would shift when I would step on it. I'm like, nope, don't feel safe on that. And then they would the wood was wearing down, so where the nails had been originally driven into the wood, the wood had worn down below the nails, so I kept getting my socks and my tights caught on the nails, which hurts. It's not just about ripping my tights, it also hurts.
True.
But yes, Ty got it fixed, and I feel happier now. Now I only have to worry about this. The stairs are very smooth because they're like very well sanded and brand new. So now I just got to be really careful when I walk downstairs with socks on. Because
I almost took a tumble?
Yeah, I almost fell down the stairs this morning because I was trying to get down. I was trying to rush to get to work and went too fast, and my foot almost went. And that would have been the end of Faye.
True. But yeah, so that project was done. It looks nice. It looks pretty good. Lesson learned for anyone who does stairs while you're still living in the house and you're on the second floor. Bring more food than I did, because I had ramen, and I was like, the second time I ate ramen, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, Faye, and Faye was like, I'm gonna be home late because I don't have to be upstairs until like 11. So I was like, Faye, bring food. So she's like, we're having food, and she had to go pick me food up, come back, and I wasn't even gonna go downstairs, so I had to wait till her come upstairs. I'm like, you saved me. And then she laughed at me because it's like, I would be able to eat anything multiple days, and Ty only lasted 2 days and was like sick of his food the second day.
I need chat to answer this poll question, because I'm trying to figure out which one of us, me or Ty, which one of us is the weird one. Okay, so Ty needs to eat different foods every day. He does not handle eating the same thing. Like maybe 2 days in a row, he's okay, and that's it. Yeah. I could eat the same thing every single day in a row for like a week straight, like, and not even have a, like, I wouldn't bat an eye. It's fine.
Right,
It's whatever.
Mom's like, I can eat the same food for weeks at a time. All right, Mom.
Okay, well,
says,
Danny apparently agrees with you.
there you go. Different things every day. Defty, what's your input here?
I need this as a poll that's just like on the channel for people to answer.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
I mean, the thing is, right. I am a big believer of if I make a meal, let's say I make a meal, I make something like spaghetti bolognese. I will always try and make sure that there's leftovers for the day after, and I will try and make sure that there's food sorted for my wife, and if I need some during the course of the day or something. And sometimes it means we've got some ready for the day after. I only do that because it is just viable in terms of money saving, right? But every day I make something different otherwise, because it's variety. It's
Yep, there you go. Variety. All right.
See,
I'm gonna do 5 minutes.
Yeah, if left to my own devices, like if I wasn't trying to, because I cook for me and Ty most days. If it wasn't for the fact that I know Ty would lose his shit, I would just make one meal for the week, and that would just be our meal for the week. But Ty would lose his mind.
I like variety. It's no problem with variety.
I would be so much happier just eating the same thing every single day.
Right.
It means I don't have to think.
I will also say, it is better for you to eat different things every day.
There you go. All right. So
Yeah, it is, because you're getting different nutrients in your body. You can't be living off the exact same nutrients every day of your life.
Facts.
Watch me.
Oh God, definitely don't say it. She's gonna be like, I'm gonna cook her food now. Ty's gonna have to deal with it. Just to prove
I
her
have
point.
had a salad for lunch every single day this week. I bring a salad to lunch. That's it. That's my lunch.
Okay.
And then for dinner, I will eat the same thing if given the chance.
I'm just gonna throw my vote in there just to get this poll sliding the right way. But yeah. Oh well, but yeah, that's the thing. I couldn't survive off of a cup of noodles 2 times. The second time I was starting eating, I'm like, okay, but then like halfway through, I'm like, no, I think I'm done. And I was like, texting Faye, I was like, bring me food, and she's like, you gotta wait like 2 hours before I get back, and then she showed up 2 hours later. So yeah.
In my defense, I wasn't even near the house. Like, I had been told you're not going to be able to go upstairs until 11 p.m. And so I made plans away from the house till then because all of my stuff is upstairs.
Should I just end this? Should I just like, chat? Should I even said, hey, DoorDash or Grubhub or delivery, come and deliver. I'm gonna have to open the window. You're gonna have to toss it up to the man to sit in the window, and hopefully I can catch it and nothing will fall over everywhere. so
Ty building a Home Alone style pulley system outside of his window.
That's the Dutch way.
Exactly. But you could see, imagine, like, I mean, I was up here at Ragna where we spent a good quality few days because we can not both leave the upstairs for a while. So.
Oh yeah, my cat was big mad because we locked him upstairs with a baby gate.
Yeah. So yeah.
He's never been so insulted.
He just looked at it, it's just like, one thing I love about monsters literally is like, he's like, gate. Looks at you, looks at the gate, and he's like, there's nothing he can do. He's like, there's no way. Like, he's learned now, because I have this little tiny chair behind me. He's learned, like, oh, I can jump into the chair. It's a little lower than the bed, and I can just turn around and jump onto the bed, because I don't have to, risk my claws getting stuck on the blanket, because I can't make it up to the top of the bed. He found easier ways to do things. Like, literally. So, it's like, I watched him too. It's like, he jumped.
My poor baby can't jump, though.
Yeah. It is interesting, but that makes him a very interesting better roommate because literally it's like you just encounter him while he's walking. Like there's no way he's not gonna be jumping. He's not gonna be falling out of the sky on top of your head. He's not gonna come sprouting out some hidden crevice that's like a cabinet above because he jumped all up high. He's just literally like a person just roaming the floor and just watch him lie on the floor, lie at your feet. You know, decide to jump onto your bed at least because the bed's not that tall to get onto the bed and just like lie there. So yeah.
Sounds like the Roomba cat of the cat world.
Probably, yeah. That's true. That's probably true. We'll have to make a clip of this later. We'll make a clip of this later. Okay.
I can't.
I appreciate this because in comparison, the 4 cats that I lived with previously, they would just jump over everything, and I'm literally like, nope, I gotta carry you, put you up, jump on the laptop. I'm gonna sit here. I'm like, I have to work. You can't sit on the laptop by pushing the keys at the same time while I am trying to push the keys. Nah, it's not gonna work. And then other cats would just like to literally jump onto your lap. You'd be like, one cat would be like, but then like he's a big cat. You'd be like, whoosh, and just like on your lap immediately. So I'm thankful for it. I'm not having to experience that type of cat. And Monster is really calm and these human beings.
I have a very well-trained cat.
You have a well-trained cat. That is true. Very well-trained cat. So, all right, poll is completed. Different food every day.
Yeah, I'm the weird one. I'm the weird one.
Okay. All right, so 60% food every day. Oh, look, I just added the stuff for streamer bot. And it's added so much more intro to my stream, so I'm trying to get used to it. All right, so today's topic is the future we dream of. So it's kind of talking about things that are happening, like how we see AI, how do we see games, how do we see movies. So kind of like we're going to Deathspin. Because I was trying to figure out a topic, but as Faye pointed out to me, and I looked at the time myself, I could talk about Valentine's Day, but that's like 2 weeks ago at this point, so no one's going to be talking about it right now. So I had to come up with a new topic. So this is a topic we came up with. So the first question is about, will AI replace us? Or will it make us superhuman? So the prompt is, imagine waking up and all these prompts are phrased the same way. So just ignore me if I say the same thing 3 times. Imagine waking up in 2015, your AI assistant schedules your day, writes your emails, maybe even makes decisions for you. What if the AI becomes so advanced that it doesn't need us anymore? So are we into a human extinction or the dawn of a superhuman era? So I don't know what you guys' opinions of AI and what you've seen in AI currently and what currently it does. Do you think we're on that path at this point in our lives? Or is it still too early to tell?
So I'm gonna ask a clarifying question. Do you mean AI, like true AI, or do you mean AI, the model that we have now? Because what we have now is not true AI.
Okay, so clarifying question, appreciate it. I was going to spin the fact that the AI probably we have now, how we can see that advance further. If you're talking about true AI, I feel like we're going to go into a long discussion that we don't have time for. So let's stick with the what we know right now, as in current AI, how it is.
Current AI, as it is now, is not going to replace everybody, but it is going to slowly push out all of the creatives. That's your artists, your authors, your screenwrites, playwrights, musicians. If you're not making a physical good, AI will be pushing you out soon. And then probably I'm thinking probably only like 2 to 3 years, but if I'm being generous, I'll say within like 7 or 8 years, there will be nothing new in any of those spaces anymore, because the AI that we have right now is it doesn't create new things. It just steals from other places and then moves things around like a puzzle piece. So that's my prediction on it.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Tefty?
I feel that AI at the minute is in a weird situation. I feel like too many people are kind of relying on it, and it's kind of, as a result, it's showing the kind of negatives of what AI is currently at. But there's so many positives as well that no one ever talks about. Everyone always talks about the negatives. Like, for example, that there was AI pictures found in the new tome of Dungeons and Dragons, new edition to Dungeons and Dragons. They actually used AI art, and it wasn't. There was never any stating that it was AI art, and the person who kind of uploaded that stuff got very badly told off for it. I don't think it's gonna take over things. I think there's going to be a sense of tweaking, so much tweaking as time goes along. But I feel like we've kind of done it correctly up until this point in order to make sure that we don't need to worry as much, because we've been sort of like, as you say, it's not true AI. It's an AI via like crowdsourcing and
It's
data
generative.
collection. Exactly, and generative. It's data collection. It's all that kind of stuff. It's not AI in terms of, it's not like a robot that's put in place. There
True.
have been cases of that. Like, for example, they've been using it in video games to try and do like speed runs of video games and stuff, by letting the AI basically just fail over and over again to try and get to a sense of thing. It's self-learning. That's about as close as we've gotten so far, and that's more interesting than anything, I think. But I don't think it's taking over anyone. People are just looking at it in an interesting way. So I'm excited to find out what comes of that, as long as it doesn't sort of hurt a potential inroad in an industry, like Faye was saying.
Makes sense.
So I would love for it to work like how Defty is talking about. The problem is that I have a lot of friends who are artists or authors, and they're already being affected because of generative AI.
That's true.
So like I hate to be the negative Nancy, but like what I'm saying is like things that are already happening, and it's only going to get worse unless like regulations are put into place, and also like culturally people will have to make conscious efforts to seek out art that is created by humans, because I know it's so easy to go into ChatGPT and tell it to give you a squirrel in armor holding a sword in an epic battle for your animal D&D game. I know that, but please pay an artist to give you an actual, painting of this, and don't use AI, because every time you use AI, you are decreasing the amount of artists that will be in the pool to create new things tomorrow and the next day.
I wonder if you guys, because I know to depict of like AI and to depict like what's real, is there any way that we can discern from, like, have you guys seen things that you can tell that's AI generated versus things that are actually?
I can always tell, but it's only because I went from like when I first came out of like sixth form, I got into doing like website and logo designs. I'm quite good at looking at the kind of general details. So if you to show me a picture of two things and say which one's the AI, I'll be able to point it out almost 99% of the time.
There are definitely some tells that you can look for. If you're not an artist yourself, it can be very difficult. Obviously not impossible, but it can be very difficult. Usual things to look for: first thing, check hands. AI does struggle with hands. They are getting better at it though, specifically because these companies know that they usually struggle with hands, so they've been actually putting in more effort into getting the AI to do hands better. So the next thing that you're going to look for would be like jewelry. If you're looking at artwork, look at if there's jewelry on the character. Do the lines of the jewelry make sense? A lot of times they have problems with like earrings just kind of melting into the neck or into the collar of the shirt and not actually being a separate item. Lines of like if you have like a collared shirt, the lines of the collar just melting into what would be like a wrinkle in the shirt. You have to like look for small details like that to be able to say that's AI. If you're seeing a picture, because there's a lot of, you know, obviously like pictures that are meant to be real people, look for things again, hands, objects intersecting. Like I saw one that was with a news article.
Oh wow.
Of all things, and then I'm looking and I'm like, something's not right, and I realize that there's a gentleman who has like a belly, you know, like a bigger dude in the picture, but if you look, he's standing at a counter, and the counter just like cuts into his belly. And it's not like you don't see the belly indent around it, it just cut into him. I'm like, that's AI. That's not real.
So chat, just everyone listening, just keep an eye out for the telltale signs. But yeah, Def, thinking of something?
There's a couple other bits that are very obvious. Hair, they tend to do hair you could see there's a big difference between hair. Hair is a big thing because there's an expectation of what hair should look like, and then there is what hair looks like. If you look in the background, usually when there's wording, usually it can't get wording correct. You have to do a lot of people who use AI tend to then erase the wording that they try and put in and just put their own in instead. Lighting tends to be too perfect. It's like the ideal of what lighting should be, and that is really wrong. If you go outside today, go try to take a photo outside, and the lighting will be completely different to what you see in an AI generated image.
Or on the lighting thing, or if you have multiple objects in a picture, they'll all be lit from different directions.
Yep.
But I will play devil's advocate for just a moment. You were stating the idea of people I'm going to use, for example, let's say you're doing a D&D session, okay, and you've got 4 members of a D&D session, and each of you wants to use a certain character, but you want to make your character look really cool for the tabletop. The chances are you're not going to go out and just find an artist that can make these 4 pictures for you in a very short space of time. Let's say that you've got 2-3 weeks to prepare, and you've got to go to this artist and you've got to say, could you please make these 4 characters for us? We'll obviously pay you for them, but these 4 characters, and then let's say you get them back, 2 of them don't look right, not how you want them to, and you want them to look better in a certain way or what have you, or you want them to look in a different pose, or something doesn't quite fit right. Whereas if you went to an AI generator, you could create 4 characters within the space of about 10 minutes. You don't have to pay a penny for it, and you are in a situation where you can potentially edit that character within seconds. And I know that's not right for the people who are trying to make a living from doing those drawings. I know that, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. What I'm saying is, if you are trying to get artwork made that is specifically selling a brand, or is specifically selling product, or is specifically that is to be seen by hundreds of people, thousands of people, don't use AI. AI is not for that. AI is for those little moments where you want to make a character in D&D and you can't afford to pay someone because you're a 14-year-old kid. You know what I mean? That's trying to make it there's an accessibility to AI, and I think that goes a bit amiss when it comes to the idea, because people are too upset by the idea that no one's paying for the actual artwork that is really good.
So my problem. Go ahead.
Go ahead. If you want to add on that, go ahead. I want to switch kind of a few different directions. But you want to add on to that? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I understand Defty's like scenario concept. The problem that I have with that concept is it only falls into one of 2 categories for me. Either that concept is a group of friends in which it is not a need, it is not a requirement to have this picture when the sessions start, and you absolutely have the time to wait and go back and forth with an artist until it is correct, because artists don't just hand you the finished thing. They start off with like a sketch of this is the pose I'm thinking, and then you can be like, I don't really like that, and then they'll get the sketch and the things, like the pose, right before they start doing the actual like hard work of the artwork and filling it in and fleshing it out. So if it's a group of friends, it's not a need, it's a want. So the other alternative is that in that situation is that this is some sort of like big to do where money's on the line. in which case you knew well in advance that this was going to be a thing. It's not going to be oh, you only have 2 weeks. You had at least a month. And if you didn't get your artwork done in time, that was your fault, your failure, and you should suffer the consequences of that. But I don't think you get to use AI in that situation, because AI art is just stolen artwork. There is no AI generated artwork that you will ever see out there, period, that was not stolen from an actual artist who is getting no recognition and no money off of it.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate once again.
Okay.
You mean, at the end of the day, there's so many people, you can hear from stories about people like dads with children who have decided to try and teach their kids like D&D, and I'm going back to D&D, but just to kind of reference back to that. And the idea of paying for, like an idea of a kid paying money for artwork to be made, is honestly ludicrous, because they shouldn't have the accessibility to be able to do that in the first place. I understand that it's not genuine artwork because it's been taken from other sources to kind of generate that specific thing, but also in terms of that, like, when I always remember being a kid and making my own Yu-Gi-Oh cards with some friends for a bit of a laugh, and taking pictures of things that I found in magazines and sticking them onto cards. It's not my artwork. I wasn't selling it. I wasn't using it negatively, but it was just a cutout from a magazine. Is that not the same? Is that not like
it's
the
not
same
actually
idea?
though. It's not, because the magazine paid the photographer or paid the artist to make that artwork that was put into that magazine, which was then sold to your parents. That artist got paid. That artist got recognition for their work. And there's a difference between theft and transformative art. Some, like, the original artist got paid, and then you took that paid for artwork and transformed it into your Yu-Gi-Oh cards, into your locker collage, into whatever you did with it. But there was a chain where everybody's artwork got respected, and AI does not do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Can I pivot slightly to?
I'm good with
Okay.
moving on.
Okay. Well, I'm still gonna stay in the topic of AI slightly, but I just wanted to see, because we stayed heavily in the creative sphere. So like AI in terms of like the field I'm in. So the field I'm in is dealing with information, so health information per se. So like, do you see this? Let's say I feed the scenario of I feed health information into this AI for, like, let's say for an area of the area surrounding some major city like New York or somewhere, and like have that take that information, deduce saying, hey, maybe people need, like, let's say more vaccinations in this area for some reason, because based on the records of AI looking through everyone's data saying, hey, these people do not have like a booster shot for measles or something like that. Like that kind of AI where it takes information, takes to say, hey, like you ask the question from the AI and it kind of dwells based on the research. It can pull the data from multiple sources saying, hey, or data you feed into it, is that more acceptable use of AI rather than the creative sphere? Because we're moving to more of like how AI deals with information.
I don't really know, because I mean, for example, not like moving away from the creative sphere again, it's the same with computers. They've now started putting AI into the like chipsets and stuff like that go into your computers and stuff, because it actually is quicker to have the AI do the calculations between the needed sort of data threads and stuff like that you're going to be taking when you're playing a game or using this piece of software. I think yeah, it's sort of, in my opinion, maybe it is a bit more acceptable. I don't think, as long as it's not something that can be manipulated and then stated it's AI.
True.
Because you don't want to have a situation where the AI is actually trying its best to do the best for what it's based to do. Like, for example, you were saying about vaccinations, or I was saying about the computer parts. You don't want that to have that job to do its work, to do what it needs to do, and then for it to basically turn around and have someone manipulate that completely separate, or have the ability to manipulate that, and then people think it's genuine, like the people think it's what the actual job is of that specific piece of software, hardware, or what have you. Because yeah, I mean, maybe there should be just like a disconnect between what AI does when it goes out of the factory to so that there's no input, unless there's a need to shut it down. Like, the only input allowed is turn off, if that makes sense.
I see. I mean, did you bring out the caveat of like someone takes that data and kind of manipulates it? But I feel like, because I feel like a lot of AI has been touted in the health industry, which I mean, just for the fact that for someone to look at data from, you know, an area, which could be vast amounts of data, to come up with a conclusion where AI could come up within a matter of like hours or minutes, depending on how fast it can look at that and look for the data points. I can see benefits to it. I do personally use AI just to help with coding, so I can use it as like a what I need to do in this scenario to kind of like based on what I need to base the code. Granted, it's not 100% like, you know, right on the money, but it kind of sends me in the direction that I go, and also learn from that interaction, so that I can use that as a kind of like a basis of where to start the code. Because the final line does come back down to you know, the human factor. Like, say like you give some information and does it come back verifiable, or does it come back, you know, like actionable? And there's limits there too. So I feel like you're right. There's probably some boundaries that should be set for what kind of data and what kind of function it is doing. But AI has various uses also outside the creative sphere that can handle tasks that probably for a regular person would take many days. For AI, it may take minutes to the factor over time to do. Buffet, you have any thoughts on this?
I guess I just want to put this on the record. I am not anti-AI. I actually like the idea of AI being able to like make life easier for people. I am anti-AI in its current concept. I think, and I also think there are some very big societal changes that need to happen before AI is allowed to take over, or we're going to be in a really bad spot. And I absolutely believe that AI has no business being in creative spaces. End of period.
Oh, the one tangential story that I could bring up. I went to the dentist like a couple weeks ago, and they're like, "We're gonna do a scan of your mouth." So they did a whole scan of your mouth, and then the words came out of their mouth were like, "We're gonna feed this into AI and make sure it doesn't miss anything that we don't see." And they fed it through images to take a look, to have AI judge if there was anything wrong with my mouth, and they didn't say anything. But I have a really long.
I am absolutely cool with things like that, or like AI being used to like facilitate diagnosis. Like I remember when my grandfather was sick and had cancer. He had bone cancer, and it took him a long time to catch it, because the first thing that was noticeable as far for his family was he started like having trouble walking. He was always in pain, and we'd bring him into the doctor, and we like for over a month we were bringing him in, and they just kept saying there's nothing wrong with him. We can't find, like, we've done x-rays, we've checked him, there's nothing wrong with him. And it turned out he just had a bunch of hairline fractures that were so small that they couldn't see them with their eyes. And if we could have taken that x-ray and fed it into a machine and had an AI like look it over, and maybe that computer, you know, not having to depend on actual flawed human optical nerves, might have noticed the hairline fracture.
Right.
And then they could have started actually treating him sooner, because it took several months for him to get diagnosed. By the time he got diagnosed, it was literally all over his body. Maybe it could have gotten detected sooner if we weren't depending on, you know, putting this x-ray up onto a light box and then having to visually verify what's going on, because human eyesight is flawed. I would
Right.
be totally okay with things like that.
Gotcha. Oh, you're
Fine.
I froze, didn't I?
You froze for a second, but you're back. Okay, Hefty, anything else you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, I see where Faye's coming from with that. I just I just hope that the idea of using AI or over depending on AI to do this job of analyzing people and to try and pick up something that they might have missed then doesn't go and backfire in one of two ways. Either they do a diagnosis that's completely wrong and then leads to something completely different as a different diagnosis, and
True.
they rely on the actual evidence of the AI. Let's say, for example, it was your grandfather, not trying to bring up in a bad light or anything, or this situation in a bad light, but imagine that it suggests it wasn't bone cancer and something completely different, and they went to treat for that instead of bone cancer. And then as a result of that, they've relied too heavily on the results of what that AI
yeah.
has been. saying.
And
Sorry,
to be clear, that's why I use the word facilitate and not like
Depend.
just
Yeah.
diagnosing.
I feel like
Yeah,
that's the line we kind of have to draw, because like, you know, like I could have an AI for coding, but I don't. I use it as a basis to kind of start, but then I have to like make it work for the environment I'm in, because it's never 100% accurate. Like even for diagnosis, it may be like 95%, then there's a 5% chance that there's something different that caused the AI. But then also adaptive learning kind of comes into play where, you know, like if it gets corrected or it gets, you know, like trained on that, not the correct response, then, you know, it could improve its odds. But you bring up a point. It's not something that should be 100% relied on. It should be taken with a grain of salt and kind of, you know, like taken as advisement as a possible way. But then, you know, it also could be wrong, because AI could also be fallible. You never know. Yeah.
I would say use it as like a second opinion.
Yeah.
You know, if your code isn't working, you just like you could send it to another friend who is also a coder and have them try to read it over and see if they can figure what's wrong, or you can send it through an AI. Preferably do both, because maybe they'll both find something different with like syntax or whatever. If it's in a hospital setting, like I did mention that my grandfather had bone cancer, but the thing that they were missing was the hairline fractures. I am not saying that the AI would ever have actually diagnosed bone cancer, but if it had pointed out the hairline fractures that the doctor was missing, maybe the doctor would have come to the conclusion of the cancer because he would have started looking more.
Yeah, 100%.
But because he was seeing nothing, he kept telling us, Grandpa's fine, he's just getting old. He was very much not fine.
I think the second part to what I was going to say is that you then imagine those people that are going to school to be a doctor or a dentist or something like that. Those people are supposed to be specially trained within that kind of that sphere. And honestly, I feel like they are the people that should know this crap. Do you know what I mean? They're the people that should be fully aware of what the situation is. And I feel the idea of bringing AI into that situation from that standpoint feels kind of, I don't know, it feels sort of disingenuous towards the people who actually are very good at the job and do pick up the right thing, because it means that they kind of, I don't know. It feels like there's so much education that goes into it and so much knowledge and so much, you know.
Yeah, but that also has its own downfalls. Like, for example, there's a big bias against women in the medical field.
Well, because there's so few test results.
There's so few tests done on us, but also, like, if I go in and I say I'm in pain, the more pain I say I'm in, the more likely they are to tell me it's all in my head. They're more likely to prescribe me an antidepressant than they are to prescribe me a pain medication. But if a guy goes in and says he's in pain, he's more likely to get pain medication. And that's just a bias he's in the medical field. And one of the things that an AI in this situation would not have would be that kind of medical bias, because they would just say, patient is exhibiting pain in this, and this is how you treat that. So it might actually level the playing field.
Yeah, I feel like we should leave it as that, saying that, you know, AI is necessarily not a substitute for, you know, a human thing. Hopefully, yes, hopefully a human
Hopefully.
experience of knowledge that someone has. I mean, it's just like, of course, let's face it, it's a second opinion per se, like someone that can maybe back up the current prognosis of, you know, what you're looking at, or give you insight to something you may have not looked based on the data that's been fed to them. So we'll kind of leave it there and kind of move on to
Sorry.
the anime question.
Sorry.
No, sorry, no, you're fine. The anime question. So I think we talked about technology and stuff, and I was always curious, like, let's say if we eliminated every technology in the world besides one thing you could hold on to, and what would you, the one item that you would hold on to that you would need to survive or function or even go from day to day? It could be like anything from right now, if you're on a cell phone, your watch, to your car, or what technological thing that we have now that you say, if I had only to hold on to one thing, I would hold on to this. This is my question.
Lord.
It's very hard because
Something that
it's so many
can
things.
Something that can play music. I feel like music is such a massive part of my life. I listen to so many things that are that. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't give a damn if it was just a CD player or something, or a cassette player or something. If I had access to the music that would allow me to just kind of not be in the headspace of where I am right at that moment in time, or to because I listen to music to affect what my mood is currently, so that it amplifies that mood. So if I'm in a writing mood, I listen to music that will amplify my want to write. If I'm playing a video game, I mean, obviously these things wouldn't be accessible. I mean, writing, I could always write it by hand, but yeah, I'm very much one of those people that amplifies how they feel, what I'm doing,
All right.
and stuff like that by music.
Interesting answer. Cool. All right. Faye, do you have one? Are you still thinking?
Some form of long distance communication.
Ah, okay.
I can replace pretty much everything else in my life to a degree. Like, oh, if I can't play video games, well, board games exist. You can make them out of literally wood and marbles. Like, oh, I can't read news online anymore. Well, I mean, newspapers exist, and we could go back to old school, like stamp paper. That's, whatever. But I don't have local friends. My only local friend technically is my roommate. My next closest friend is an hour's drive away, and the next closest friend is a 12-hour drive away. So I need a way to talk to you mofos.
There you go. It's like communication. All right, cool. Well, communication music. I think I thought about this too a little bit. I'm thinking like there's stuff that yes, Faye brought up is like we didn't require on like technology per se, and you can find ways to get around things like transportation. You could walk to wherever you need to go, or even like games. You can find set of games that don't require some technological thing. I feel like the only thing I would want to hold on to is probably a camera, and that's the only reason why. The older you get, the things go by. I think it's just just a touch of like, how do you record history per se, or things that happen or events in your life. I think without a camera, and if I had paper, I mean, I could draw pictures, but then drawing pictures would be very like subjective to what it is. But I feel like getting a camera. See, I can't draw either, so I feel like a camera, just having a camera just to get like pictures, like in photos I can print or put out. I feel like I would survive off of that. Anything else would be like, there's other ways to figure out for yourself too. So, but yeah, all right. So another question, another prompt was for, again, in 2050, because I was focusing on that far out, but what video games would look like in 2015? VR worlds or brain chips. So a lot of shows are just kind of gone that route where, the game is like very immersive, or virtual reality. But let's say, imagine, again, it's year 2050. You are no longer using a controller or a VR headset because video games are now directly played in your brain. You can feel the wind running through the cyberpunk city, and your real body sitting motionless in a gaming pod. Is that the future of gaming, or will we be still using screens and consoles? What do you think we're trending towards? So, like, current things now are augmented reality. VR headsets are pretty coming into more of like a mainstream as we talk now. You guys have any opinions on how video games will look in the future?
I mean, it's interesting because you could go one of two directions. I think you could either go with the maximum or minimal. We have. It's funny. We back when it was like the 90s and stuff like that, or even the 80s, we thought about like video games and consoles, and we never really thought about how big the console would be, or how big the system would be, or how big the PC would be. And I mean, there's probably some people that thought, oh, we're going to have like these small computers that can do big things and stuff like that. And yet we've got big computers now and lots of big screens and lots of big peripherals. And you'd sort of think that it'd be the opposite way around, because technology is supposed to slimline things to some extent. You're sort of that idea of like slimming everything down. And I feel, so there is that. So would it be that we have adapted kind of computers in a way to be bigger yet again, and go for that sort of more grandiose scale of environments? You know, you can potentially be like in a VR room rather than having a headset on, so the room itself you can walk around and be within that space of, you know, physically walking around, and you can look around. You don't have to have a VR set on. It's just a bunch of screens in the room saying, you know, this is what's below you. Right now is currently like there's you know, there's a cliff's edge and you can see down off this ravine, and it's literally just screens upon screens across all the walls and stuff, so you can be completely immersed in a VR surrounding. You know, that's the kind of, in my opinion, the maximal version, you know, the
Right.
grandiose scale. Or do we go to the minimal version where it's like, you know, video games can be as small as your glasses, and go for the sort of approach of, you know, making yourself look like Vegeta because you're playing a video game on
Yeah.
just on this little tiny screen across one eye. I don't know. I think we're going to. I think there's always going to be try to be ways to augment it in a way that makes it sort of better. I don't. The thing is, I don't think brain power will ever be at a point where it's perfectly easy to just imagine that stuff, unless you can tap into the conscious point of the part of the brain that is dreams and consciousness and stuff like that. If you can't tap into that, you can't really do it augmented in that way and tapping into your brain, because that's the powerhouse of it, nothing else. We currently have computers attached to people's brains, and it's minimal as to what they can do. It's fantastic because people who have got paralysis and stuff like that can, you know, use a mouse without even having to move the hand, and it's absolutely fantastic. But like, it's not the quickest thing in the world. It's not the most advanced. Well, it is advanced, but it's not the most sort of like, you know, no one's going to be getting rid of their mouse anytime soon to replace it for that. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to. Yeah. So I don't know. I think you've either got one of two options. You've got the maximum version where you go for this sort of grandiose, like, you know, screens in a room, being fully immersed in the experience, or you can go for the opposite, which is literally minimal. But who knows?
Good predictions. Good predictions. Faye, I know you're thinking. Do you have any thoughts?
Literally, the only thought I've got in my head right now is I've already had people poking around at my brain once before. I'm not really looking forward to that. People trying to do it again.
Okay. Well, okay.
I don't think we're going to be getting rid of just regular PCs and monitors anytime soon, especially definitely not by 2050.
Gotcha.
Like maybe 3,000, maybe, but the way things are going right now, I don't see it happening.
Well, you have seen the augmented reality ones, where like the Apple one, where it's like you can see it on in perspective,
Mhm.
like those types of ones.
Yeah, but they're more of a fad, and I see them going the way of like the whole 3D like thing did like what 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Everybody was like it was 3D TVs and 3D monitors for your 3D glasses and like I don't know a single person. If they bought them, they probably don't have those TVs anymore. If they do, they don't ever use the 3D thing for them anymore. Like
Okay.
like remember the 3DS was the whole thing, remember?
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like I see all this augmented reality stuff basically being like that, and it'll be cool for a while, and there may be like one or two cool things done with it, but eventually everyone's gonna go back to their regular monitors and their regular
Their real
PCs.
Okay, interesting. So, like, you feel like it's a fad per se, right? Like, it's not going to be around or not going to take off.
I mean, yeah, for the most part, like we might get some cool technology out of it that may like maybe we get better surround sound for headphones out of it. You know, because if you're going to have a virtual augmented reality, you're going to have to make this better than what it is. You know?
Makes sense. Have you guys, like, at a personal, like, at a side note, have you guys actually used VR headsets before? Either one of you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
When they first got introduced, I went to a games expo that was in a town fairly close to where I used to live in the UK. And I got a chance to try out a VR headset whilst I was there. I got a chance to try 2 games. One was like a mech game. That was really interesting. The next one was basically a flying game. It's a sort of, you're in a flying shuttle, what have you. And the flying one made me horrendously sick.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to pause for these ads?
Oh, is it turn up yet?
It says
It's starting
ad
in
break.
40 seconds.
Yeah, we'll pause it a second. I see, I measure up. I see the timers coming down.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Ooh. CBCB.
Yeah, CBCB, indeed, over there. But the ads, or just say, I had a PlayStation VR when that came out, so definitely I can experience it. And I think I tried someone's VR set too. I think it's like a whole senses like thing. Like your senses are just getting different inputs than Brad or what you would normally do for sure. But all right, wait for this ad. It starts soon. I can't keep talking because the ad started.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a
I
good
wouldn't-
topic.
I wouldn't mind augmented reality becoming more of a thing for games. Like, do y'all remember with like the DS and maybe I know it was on the 3DS. I think it was also on the regular DS where you could have like the cards and it would like make things pop up and it was like 3D. You could spin, you could walk around it. I would think it would be cool to have like a pair of glasses where you're still seeing your actual room, living room, wherever you are, but like having a game that like overlaid on that for you to interact with.
It cuts you off right there. Yeah, it's starting now. 30 seconds now, just give a second. That's only I can't get it smaller than 30 seconds for one ad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, rude.
Yeah.
Like this bot tells me now when it starts. It's like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Stick around. Yeah. It's like the yawn after yawn. Glad it's not contagious, said Dowie.
I'm sorry.
That's
I've been
fine.
getting up early for
it's
work,
fine.
but I was having really hard time sleeping last night.
All
How
right.
dare you?
All day. All right. So let's recap. I know say something Defty, you were having a thought before your like said ads. What was your thought?
Yeah. What was I saying? Let me have a quick think, see if I can catch it with my own brain as what I was trying to say. I'm trying to remember. Please, brain, try and remember.
Don't hurt yourself.
Don't,
Yeah. No. We're talking about if
Oh
I've
yeah, your
used,
VR experience. Yeah. What was your VR experience?
So yeah, I did get a chance to use it at this Games Expo, and then I tried it again about 4 or 5 years later. I got it. We went to a game room to do VR for about 3 hours on my birthday. My wife surprised me, and we went to this VR room, and it was really good fun. It was really interesting. We got a chance to play a bunch of different games, and one that was really, really cool was there was like a fantasy archery game where you get a chance to like fire at orcs and stuff, and you get like bow and arrows and swords and stuff. It was really interesting. I think the only thing there's two things that hold back VR for me. Number one is like the motion sickness side of it. You know, you've got these things attached to your face, and the motion sickness can be really present in those things. Especially for me, I get motion sickness quite quickly. And then the second thing is just the fact that because it is a peripheral that is exterior to the computer, it can really suffer because of certain programming things that are in place. It's so evident when you look at games companies that are genuinely AAA that actually know what the hell they're doing with a VR set, like Valve when they did the Alex game for VR. Like that game is incredible for VR. It is really well made for VR. And then you go and you see these little indie studios, no offense to indie studios whatsoever, but indie studios that are trying to tackle VR, and there's so much like desyncing between the controls and stuff and between the headset, and it just doesn't quite hit that mark because it is really advanced. Like it is really, really advanced piece of hardware that really needs good more than one good mind to make sure that it works perfectly. So yeah, I don't know. Not that nothing's wrong with VR. I just feel like, as we were saying before with the 3D TVs, I think and before that, it's a little bit of a fad still because there is restrictions and limitations.
Tay, what was your thought? Do you remember before Dad showed up?
Me? Oh, I was just saying, like, if we did like augmented reality instead of virtual reality, I think I'd be much more on board with that. Because, like, if I could put on something like a pair of glasses where I could still see the world that I actually reside in, but it's just layering a game on top of it. Think like Pokemon Go, but instead of only seeing the Pokemon on your phone, you actually physically saw that Pikachu in the grass.
Yeah, there you go. That would be
cool as fuck. But that would also bypass the issue that Deft has, and like I know that I also struggle with really, really bad motion sickness, which is why I don't fuck with virtual reality. But this would bypass that, because the reason virtual reality fucks with us is because our brains have a harder time with the visual input not matching the physical input. But if it's literally the world that we have, like it's my room, it's our backyard, it's the park across the street, you don't have that disconnect. And so you won't have those like motion sickness issues.
Makes sense. I feel like okay.
No, sorry, I was just going to, one other thing I'd add to that as well is one of the biggest issues with VR is you can't see outside of the VR machine. If you've got glasses, you can still see. The amount of people that you watch in videos who have a VR headset on their head and then decide to try and dive off of a cliff and then completely forget they're still in the real world is just hilarious. But when you've got glasses on, you can see.
No more playing that music game with the swords and then accidentally whacking a kid in the head.
I feel like though, so even talking about VR, the interface still, I feel like it's still clunky per se, because like you have to like point over there if you want to move over there, and you're essentially not moving. Or if you try, as Danny said, yes, VR in a small room to start with, banging my head on the desk and pushing my walls, not ideal. So, but yeah, like I feel like it's still like it's all sensory, like your eyes, your sounds, what you're doing. You can see you hold your arm up, you can see the you're holding something. So I think there is also feels like there's like room to improve per se, and like any sci-fi show or any movie now or any TV series has probably delved into the more immersive like when Defty was saying about the room, I was like thinking Star Trek or the holodeck. Same thing like that environment where you can walk in and physically items are like energy protons and you can like touch and feel, but or visually look at it by this point. Not that we're getting to that point where you can actually interact with things per se, but I think we could get to that point one day.
I'd like to bring this kind of full circle for a second,
Okay.
and bring on this. If we could bring, okay, let's say we go back to Pokemon Go in VR, right? We go to this idea of Pokemon Go in VR, and this idea that you are catching Pokemon, you can see them in the grass, and you can see them rummaging in the grass. The ability to have AI calculate what it would look like for the grass to move, so it actually looks like you are seeing something rummage in the grass. So it feels like the image generation is not stolen. It's not like taken away from something, but it's actually using the game's files and stuff like that to also immerse within the world's like space. So for example, let's say you're in the tall grass and you see the grass moving ever so slightly in front of you, and it's just all it is overlaid grass through the lens, and then you see like a Pikachu come out.
I would be down with that.
Amazing. I mean
that would be an amazing use of AI. Yes.
It would be so immersive because you'd be like, holy crap! I feel like I'm actually in the world of Pokemon. Because I think that's the best. That'd be the best sort of creative use of AI.
I don't like outside, but I would go outside if we had that. I'm allergic to outside, but I would suffer it. I would suffer for this. This would be the funnest thing ever.
Nintendo hear that Faye will suffer this. Nintendo, get on that. Let's start creating that kind of VR.
I'm allergic to spiders, ants, wasps, and mosquitoes. So like all the creepy crawlies outside, every single one of them, I am allergic to them, and some grasses.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So,
but I will venture outside.
So it's a cross of. I'm hearing it's a crossover. You don't want the bulky headset. You rather prefer the glasses or something that kind of puts
something I can see through.
Yeah. Something you can see through per se, and then
augmented, not virtual.
Yeah, augmented, not virtual. Exactly. All right, so we'll see if that's going to be what we trend towards as we go forward in the future. We'll see. All right, Defty, do you have a question for the panel?
Do I have a question? Does it have to relate to tonight's topic?
No, it doesn't have to. Yeah, it can be anything you want.
I kind of want it to relate to tonight's topics. Can I have a two-part question?
Sure.
So my first question was something I thought about earlier, right? You know how we can have like actual like $100 billion companies still manage to leak people's documentation and still be completely crap at actually keeping documentation correct and safe and legal. What's to stop AI from not being hacked and have that be a problem? Because, I mean, really, like, someone's programmed AI. That means it's sort of unprogrammable. You can go backwards through the data mining of it and getting through the firewalls and getting through that. What's to stop that from happening? So that's my question number one. And my question number two is, if there were to be a film that was created entirely in AI, via AI, using true AI, not in generated from nothing stolen, specifically them using it, using characters and people that are completely and utterly made by the AI, right? Every single image generation during the course of the film is AI generated 100%. Would you still feel, and let's say it's a phenomenal film, would you have a problem with enjoying that film?
Okay.
because obviously it's not a person's work.
True.
It's not like, do you know what when you enjoy a film, sometimes you can enjoy a film because of an actor, or you can enjoy a film because of a director, or
Correct.
the way that it's written, or the cinematography, or anything like that. what's to stop you? Like, let's say you see it and like in your mind you're like, that is the best film I've ever seen in my life. Would you admit it to yourself, or would you be like, I can't say that because it's AI generated?
Okay.
Okay, so I have an answer, but do you want to go first, Ty?
No, you go first. I want to see what you're gonna say.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Have you ever seen a movie that's like a critic's darling, but then like the regular viewers absolutely pan it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I think that the AI movie that you just proposed would be, at best.
Okay. Do you have for the first part question or no?
I got so caught up on the second part. Please repeat the first part.
Go ahead,
The first question to do with what's to stop the idea of
right. That's happened already. In fact, AI in its current concept is so easy to hack that you don't actually have to use coding to hack it. You can hack it by talking to it. Fun fact, that's happened twice that I know of.
Interesting.
One of them was Facebook.
Okay.
AI made one of them was AI made by Facebook, and it ended up people started talking to it, and it started giving people its own source code, and also released the names of all of the people who developed it.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah, you can dox it. You can get AI to dox its creators.
Oh geez, okay.
Which is the thing that made Facebook actually pull the AI off of the website or off of the app or whatever they're calling it these days, because it doxed all of its creators, and then they started getting hate mail.
Well, I feel like so it brings up that point. I mean, like, yeah, I feel like AI is not, not unhackable. So definitely could be misleading or could dox itself or do things that necessarily couldn't do. So is there anything to stop it? No, not really. But like we only have human mental capability at that point that can determine what's going on. So it comes back to the person itself. So I'm not sure. Well, we'll see if that ever occurs.
You know what oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
But the second question, let me answer that real quick, then you can go back to your point. Yeah, the movie thing, it's interesting. It's kind of like the third topic we're gonna go into. But like, if I didn't know, if I did know it was AI generated, but if it still had a chance to like engage like emotion or feeling or some creativity based on that, like I would not know anyone who's in the movie because they're all AI generated. But like if it told a story, it had like a very good build up to whatever it was trying to get to, then yeah, I would definitely say, I would definitely give that the chance and look at it that way. But like you also can't match, let's say, your favorite director or favorite director style, because you have to kind of think of like this, like they have a style that is very popular for who they are, and that name resonates with that, and like if you watch a movie by them, then you're probably gonna expect their style to be similar to stuff they've done before. But if it was totally AI generated and everything, if it kept me entertained, it kept me locked in, it didn't bore me, it didn't make many mistakes, then I'd be like, that would probably be a good movie. I don't know. What is your take on this, Defty? Or Faye, go ahead. You had a point you want to add?
I now have something that I want to add to what you were saying, but the first thing I was going to say is I think it's funny that one of the most secure things that I have is actually my Final Fantasy 14 account, because tell me why my Final Fantasy 14 account has a multi-digit one-time password that I have to input every single time. I have never been hacked in Final Fantasy 14. Never, not once. Why can't my bank account? I don't want to use a 4-digit PIN that I have memorized in my head. I want you to let me have a little token that I carry on my keys or something on my phone or something that gives me a generated one-time password so that if I lose my card, no one can just use it. And I want to have to use this generated passcode every time I use the card. That's more secure. Why are we doing this the dumb way?
Okay. Anything else you want to add, or that was it, or something else?
Well, that was the on the first part, and then on what you were saying, I stand by what I was saying originally. If it's an AI, it would end up being like a technically perfect movie, right? Like the cinematography shots could be perfect. The voice acting is just always on point, but it would be soulless because AI does not have emotion. And if you try to add in that it has emotions, because you can't tell a good story if you don't have emotion. I'm sorry. If you don't understand human emotion, if you don't experience human emotions, you're not going to be able to tell a story that actually resonates with people. It can be technically perfect, but soulless. And if you start getting into the, it has emotions, it can tell an emotional story, then you're starting to step into the realm of what is human.
True. Okay, Defty, what are your thoughts?
So I keep thinking of more questions in my head as we're going through this. No, okay. I feel like Faye, you're answering the question too clinically. What I was trying to say was, if you did go to the cinema, right? Let's say you went to cinema and you literally sat there and you watched the film, and even though you know it's an AI generated thing, you loved the story. Like, you hate that you love the story. I know you would, but let's say you did. Let's say you literally sat there and you actually loved the story. You loved the character or the cinematography or something like that. Would you admit it? Would you?
Yeah, I admit that I like things that I don't want to like all the time.
Okay. I'm just in my head. It's just this idea that I'm like, oh, but do I want to admit that I like something to myself that I feel didn't, as you said, didn't have that sort of creative drive from a person?
I can admit I like it and still thoroughly be against things. Like, I've seen some AI art that is stunning. The problem is once I see the cracks because it's AI, once I start seeing those, they become all encompassing, and it does end up overshadowing. So I might like it at first, on first watch, whatever, but as soon as it starts becoming apparent, it will be all I can see.
Coming full circle back to another question that was earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone was to watch the AI film, right, let's say, and it is completely generated, as I say, by AI, nothing to do with any person or persons at all, it's everything this thing, and someone steals its idea, is that technically right or wrong? I mean, on a level of morality, we know it's wrong because you're still stealing, right? But let's say not on a morality-based thing, but on a sense of, is it still wrong to steal from AI? Because AI technically doesn't have any feelings about it. No one has actually, let's say it's AI that came out with this, no one's getting paid for this role. You're not taking away from that person, from a person's like pocket. You're not taking away from the AI because the AI is not getting paid for it. It could be a free film, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is it right then to steal the ideas of that or a character or something like that as it would be to steal that from any other film, any other franchise?
Okay. So I'm not really good at like not hyper analyzing things. I'm not sure what kind of answer you're wanting, but if we're talking the most technical senses, we agree that this AI is not a human. It does not experience human emotions. It is an object, which means it is owned by somebody, probably the person who programmed it, which means that the movie that it put out is technically owned by the person who programmed it. So if you steal it, you are stealing from the programmer responsible for creating the AI that created the movie. Therefore, you are still stealing from a human.
Let's say that it comes from a nugget. It's nothing to do with a person. A person hasn't programmed it whatsoever. This
Spontaneous AI is terrifying. That is a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm trying to say is that is exactly what this is. It's spontaneous. No one is tied to this project whatsoever. Does it make it right?
Spontaneous AI.
No one
wasn't
gets
created. spontaneous AI that wasn't created by a human would again bring about the argument of what makes something sentient. If it's sentient, it's wrong to steal from it.
What I find interesting is that we have laws in place to protect the IPs of other people, right? Intellectual properties of other people. But we then does that extend to intellectual properties of AI?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Also, have you ever seen or seen a YouTube channel that's called Foxmaster?
Nope.
Nope.
He's a YouTuber who has been using AI. That he's given the AI guidelines, let's say, in the background, right, as to how to interact, but letting the AI play through the Tomb Raider games. And the AI literally goes through the training bit at the start of the Tomb Raider games and does all the training bits and lets the AI sort of understand the abilities of what it has, like how it can move, how it can swim, how to recognize the right way to go, and stuff like this. It is incredibly odd. It's really, really odd. But he actually goes into details to how he did what he did, what kind of, like, he's actually got to go to the point where sometimes he'll go into a level and the AI will be completely unable to finish the level, and then he goes and does like another documentary a bit later on and says, I've had to enable this in his like yes and no situation to actually allow him to just finish this level, because the AI wasn't understanding how to finish a level because it couldn't quite do so. There was something in the level that's tripping it up. It's really interesting, well worth your time to watch. Very, very cool. I can't recommend it enough.
Was it Foxmaster? One word?
Foxmaster, yeah. I'll see if I can. 1 second. I'll get the exact.
Get the facts. Yep. Interesting.
Yeah, it goes by Foxmaster. If that doesn't work, Foxmaster 001.
Okay, Foxmaster 001. Okay.
I think this all leads into your question 3 that you had there, Ty.
It does, Duffy. Thanks for leading into this question that we've already kind of talked about so far. So yeah, but do you feel like can we kind of like agree to disagree, or feel like, well, besides the caveat of like AI not having a soul, or AI being programmed from someone else, or AI, like if it was true AI, which is also scary thought, to generate it, like, is it still some creative process that it has to be like something would you watch per se and say, hey, or like be like Faye and like it would be like all the critics would be like perfect, but all the real people would be like, it's AI, it doesn't really, vibe with the current scope of Hollywood and cinema as I see it right now.
I mean, I would 100% watch that. I couldn't give a damn as to what the current scope of cinema is in Hollywood or Bollywood or anywhere else in the world. I couldn't give a damn. Like, I feel that the principles we put in place are entirely specific to the person. Like, for example, we have so many people these days who religiously watch the John Wick films and say they're absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. I watched the first one and wanted that extra 2 hours of my life back because what a waste of a film that is. It's what a waste of a. No, that's the thing. If you could turn your brain off and just enjoy the action, that's great, and I have all the power to you to do that. But there is not enough actual integrity in the actual story whatsoever to warrant my brain enjoying the experience. I need a story that can grip me. It wasn't a story that can grip me. It was action that grips you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when it comes to something like AI, I'd be so interested as to what direction it would go. Like, I'd be so interested if it would go in the idea of a story, if it would use words, if it would try and do cinematography, if it would try and do the entire film as if it's a Zork game. Like, I have no idea how they would want to do it, but I would be so interested to find out, because it'd be weird sitting in a cinema or watching TV and seeing this thing that's completely conducted by AI.
I totally agree. It'll be interesting to see how the would pan out. Like, I mean, you think about even movies in general, like how the process of creating something it is, and with like scripts writing and all the videography and everything. I'm like, yeah, I could definitely. I mean, a creative process. If it came from AI or came from a person, I don't know. It could be, you could go either way, per se. But definitely something I would also want to see too, how that would come into fruition. Because definitely it could be something that could be not seen. And the funny thing, I'm just gonna bring this up to you guys because you guys weren't here for the first 40 minutes because I was watching movie trailers. Man, titles of movies coming out are very like nondescript to what is actually happening in the movie, and I'm just like,
True.
what is this title? And I read it like Going Places, and apparently the movie was about a group of teenagers like hitting a person, thinking she's dead, then take her away, but then turns out she's alive, but then has $1 million in cash, and then people are chasing them and things are happening. And like, I was like, what is this movie title? It's like Going Places. I'm like, okay. And then there was another movie with Nicolas Cage in, where the son comes to the beach where surfers were there, and they're like locals only. You guys not welcome there. And then like the movie trailer kept spinning it as like Nicolas Cage's best performance ever, pressure cooker, like. And the movie kind of you see him getting crazier with everything going on, gone there, and literally the movie, what the movie title was? The Surfer.
The Surfer, yeah.
I was like, what is this movie? So
Better than anime titles.
Yeah, I can imagine. But
Yeah, true.
just like some creativity these days are just like, it's just like dipped. And I feel like even the current cinema itself, they're just regurgitating ideas that have occurred maybe 10 years, 15 years ago, and just putting it for a new
I'm tired
audience.
of the reboots.
Yeah, a lot of reboots are going on too. So I feel like that has been the current standard too, pretty much. So I don't know. It seems like I'm curious to see if this will actually come to fruition and how would it look like. But then, like, would that lead to more AI creations of things? You never know. I mean, we'll see.
One of the things that makes me really interested is the fact that, okay, when we look at current cinema, when we look at current programs, they're always themed around something specifically, right? And let's say, for example, almost every fantasy film these days is either sort of inspired at some point by Tolkien or elements of history that are actually like British history or French history or some form of history. They're always like, they've got a theme to them that we relate to because it's been done so many times before. We find relatability in that. I wonder if AI, bear in mind that they would be making this if true AI and it's not using any of these principles, how they would deal with theming, because I think that would just be mind-boggling in itself.
Oh.
You could potentially watch this film, like the film. You could watch a film that is like that. None of the skies are blue. All the skies are red and indigo, and the world is completely turned upside down. And like, there's all sentience is via just orbs floating around the place. And to their AI, it would feel like a perfect film because it makes sense. There's a sort of like an overarching story and stuff like that. But we'd find no relatability in it.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Hey, anything to add?
I think I would probably respect that movie more if there wasn't human relatability to it.
Yeah.
Spontaneous AI would have literally nothing in common with a human.
True.
So if it's relatable to humans, then it would feel like a human had messed with the AI.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the interpretation of like humans having some sort of input on it because of that as a point. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Yeah.
So with that, sorry. Anything else, Stephanie?
No, that was it.
Okay. So that kind of just grabs question 3, but now we're into, what I like to call the long Faye segment, where Faye gets to talk a lot about things.
Why do you say it like that?
That's true though. So Faye, what's your question? Because you were last one.
Okay. So when I was reading over the stuff, my brain kept going like, oh, like super cyberpunk stuff, and so like adjacent. If like we're gonna talk like hard science cyberpunk, not fantasy cyberpunk. What kind of augmentations would you get? Like, if you have the money to get a cyberpunk augmentation, what would be the first one you would get?
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
Oh, you go first.
I know mine already, but you have very few times now where you've been able to go first. So
Okay.
I feel like he does it on purpose. He wants to see what we're gonna say so that he can bounce off of it.
Well, dang, you're gonna call it like that. I see a thing. Okay. But like,
Fight me. I'll meet you in the hall.
I'll meet you all. Okay. I feel like a visual augmentation, because I feel like human eyes have their fallacies where like vision goes, and like you can't see things as great, or like if you couldn't focus on the object or things get blurry. I feel like that would be my first go. It's some kind of optical thing to have myself perfect vision or be able to zoom in, so I don't have to worry about things like are far away or discern things, or even to the point where I could, recall an image from like 3 weeks ago where I left my like phone, if I lost my phone somewhere, just to go back and just recall that. I feel like just like a visual recording or augmentation where I can, do things. I don't know. I wouldn't go the span of like X-ray or any kind of like super human stuff. Just like maybe using what I have now, making sure I can actually see, making sure I can actually go back and see what I looked at, like constantly have that kind of recording capability. Probably
Built-in security camera.
Yeah, pretty much. So that would be my choice.
Okay. Defty?
Mine would be the ability to have basically like a health monitor within myself. The idea that I have a health monitor that basically keeps an eye on everything. It lets me know when I haven't had enough of a certain vitamin. It lets me know whether or not I'm currently have too many. Let's say my heart's doing so great recently, or my cholesterol's too high. It's telling me about these things. Because I mean, the one thing that we kind of, as we go through life, the opportunity to have is to be able to last longer and be alive for longer, especially to spend more time with loved ones. If I can have that, I will have that. If I can take care of myself with the help of, because how many times do people these days Google the symptoms of,
True.
I've currently got a spot on my leg, is it okay? If you've got this thing on you, basically say you've got a mole on your leg, let's say it is cancerous, it'd say you've got a mole on your leg, it's currently cancerous, please get it seen to, and you can just go do it. It's like a perfect health monitor on your body that just perfectly tells you when something's going wrong or right in your life, and it can help you out for all of those situations. That would be what I get. So
Okay.
I can have a long life with people I love.
There you go.
I feel like that one veers a little bit more into the fantasy, but I'll allow it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, no, because it's just all it would be doing is monitoring vital signs. I mean, dogs can pick up cancerous cells in a body just by detecting through smell. You know what I mean? It's all it is just monitoring of intake and the body's capability to understand itself.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Good answers, Faye? Good answers?
Works for me.
Well, what would Faye get? Now I want to ask you.
Ooh, see, Faye didn't think of an answer for the question. They just thought of a question.
Turn around.
So you're judging us for our answers, but you don't have one yourself.
Oh.
I'm not judging. I just felt like it fell outside of the parameter. No, I wasn't judging. I just felt like it fell outside of the parameters that I had set. but that's fine. I'll accept it. Like, kind of like, this is gonna sound really weird. The ability to control my hearing more. So I have an auditory processing disorder, which makes it where like I have a really, really hard time siphoning out like what's supposed to be background noise from foreground noise. So like if you're sitting across from me at a restaurant trying to talk to me, my brain cannot tell the difference in importance between the person talking at me and like the servers talking at the server station, the baby crying over there, the couple having a discussion 2 tables away. Like my brain just doesn't filter those out. The air conditioning, all of that stuff. So the ability to actually be able to like filter things out or just shut down. Like I am not in the mood to talk to anybody. I'm trying to focus in. I'm trying to study or I'm trying to work, and just be like, hearing is off. You're not talking to me. There is nothing you could do that would make me hear anything you are saying.
I can confirm. This happens to me a lot when I talk to Faye.
Oh yeah, he'll be talking. He'll be talking. I'll turn around and be like, "Huh? You were saying something?"
It is very true. If you don't talk directly to her and she's not listening to something, if she's listening to something, she's going to have to be like, wait a second, pause. What are you saying? Then I have to start up again. So yeah.
I also get very overstimulated by too much sound happening because it's hard to parse out the important stuff. So like if you're trying to talk to me and there's a bunch of other things happening, I'm like, I literally can't hear anything. I'm just overwhelmed. So being able to control and like shut it off as if it was like audio routes on your computer, that would be phenomenal.
Makes sense.
I would be so happy.
There you go.
That's good. I'll say 2 things to that. He does that to me when I'm streaming with her. Never mind when I'm not when I'm in the same room with her. She's just like, sorry, I didn't understand a word you just said there, Defty. But,
so I'm not gonna lie. I do a lot of like lip reading. So if I'm not looking at your cam, or if you have your cam off while you're streaming with me, it is much more likely that I'm not going to understand what you were saying. When me and you stream together, Deft, a lot of times the reasons I'm looking at your camera is to make sure that I'm actually hearing what I think I'm hearing, because I'm visually matching up with what sounds are coming out.
I mean, that's also because I'm English.
It's not just you. Like I realized how much of a problem this was when COVID started and everyone was wearing masks. Because I literally couldn't understand anybody. I was always like half guessing. Like I got some of what you said and then I'm filling in the blanks with the most logical like words given the situation, but I was never 100% positive until the masks started coming back off, and I hate that because I actually think that masks were a good thing. Like I'm very pro masks with the whole COVID thing, but yeah, I have no idea what anyone's saying, like ever. If I can't see your mouth moving, which is why you have to get my attention and I have to be looking at you if you want me to actually know what you're saying.
The weird thing as well that I was going to say was I'm very much the opposite as to you. So where you have to, you hyper focus in onto a certain sound or something like that, you can have that hyper focus in on something. If I'm playing a game or if I'm doing something, let's say that I'm watching TV or I'm doing some painting or something like that, and I have several sounds going at once, I concentrate better. I can very often be sat in the room with my wife and daughter, and we'll be watching something on the screen in front of us. So recently we've just been watching something called The Traitors. It's an English program that's absolutely amazing. It's on BBC, and I can have one headphone on and I'm listening to an audiobook or an episode of something from YouTube whilst I'm watching The Traitors, and if my wife and daughter start talking about something, I can sort of relate to them and talk to them as well as to what's going on, and I'm taking in all 3 signals at the same time.
Absolutely not. I could not do that. I if I'm working like at work right now, I have to keep a headphone in and have something playing in there as like a grounding agent, because I can hear the click clack of every single keyboard from every single cubicle around me. I can hear every single phone conversation. I can hear the person listening to a video on their phone in the break room, because the break room is like, my cubicle's here, there's one cubicle, and then there's the break room, right? I can hear the person watching something on their phone while they're on their lunch break. Even though the door's closed, I can still hear it. Like, and it's so overwhelming. So I will play like a podcast or something in one headphone, because with it being literally right in my ear, it does overtake all of that other stuff. So it gives me like a focal point so that I can have just the one thing going, because then I don't have all of the other input. But that's literally like just, it's proximity based at that point.
Yeah.
But technically I'm not supposed to have headphones. So I have to make sure that I don't put it up too loud and it like the sound leaks.
Yeah. I can kind of go the caveat of Defty, like hearing, because like I don't do as much anymore because I don't mod for as many people as I used to. But if people were streaming at the same time, I would have at least 3 streams open, audio coming from 3 different streams, and I can discern what is going on in each stream at the same time. And that's a lot of auditory input coming in. So
yeah, I'm fully with you on that.
yeah.
I mean, another thing that I do as well, I have mesophobia. So when people are like chewing and stuff like that, oh gosh, it gets on my nerves so much. I can't help it. But bless my daughter, she is as good as gold. She's amazing. I love her to bits with all my heart, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Apart from when she eats with her mouth open.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'm like, oh please, just close your mouth to eat. And I tell her so often, and when it bugs me so much, I end up having my headphones on whilst I'm eating or something, because it's bugging me, and my hearing is actually exceptional, which means I can usually hear what I'm trying to hyper focus on what I'm hearing in my headphones, but also trying to hyper focus on what I'm watching on TV with my wife and daughter. So, and actually what they're saying, but what it does is it just nullifies enough sound so I don't hear the chewing sound through of my daughter. Like I said, love her to bits. She's amazing, and she's just a forgetful little sausage.
There you go. All right, so we're gonna kind of roll it because we got a little bit of time for the next ad, so I want to kind of get this ball rolling. But hey, what is your hyperfixation this month?
Hyperfixation is still bookbinding. I'm still in the process of having, I just got the job, so I'm in the process of saving up for some bigger items that I kind of need to do the types of books that I'm wanting to make. But I've also been trying to figure out, hey, if anybody knows how to do this, also tell me, how do we download public domain books? I know there's a way to do it, and it's legal because they're public domain, but where do I find them? Because I want to get some public domain books and make my own special edition copies of them, like Alice in Wonderland. That's in the public domain. I'm not gonna buy this. I'm gonna make my own.
How do you have to like then print out? The book?
I mean, I need the printer. That's something that I'm saving for. But in the meantime, I need to find the digital copy of this book so that I can print it. Where do we do this? Does anybody, specifically the Americans, I think is the people who need to answer this, but I think it's public domain everywhere now. Where do we do this?
We'll put it out there.
I know there's a place.
There's a place somewhere possibly, but we'll point it out there and see when it comes back.
There's a website somewhere. There's a website for everything. I just need guidance.
There you go. We're asking for guidance. So if anyone has one, let us know in the comments of this video or podcast, wherever you find. And we'll still clip this. So then we'll see and get the answer for a short video. Okay. And a question I still need to remind you, services rendered, you still need to fix my floor. Because we're raised to book binding.
Yeah. I know.
All right, sure. All right, so bookbinding, so projects coming down the way. Cool. I expecting a longer hyperfixation, but still, bookbinding is still a good hyperfixation.
I'm just still in the same one, and I don't want to bore everyone with the same thing again.
No, you're fine. All right, so we're gonna bring back the last part of the segment is what is making you happy this week. So it could be anything that happened to you. Could be something you saw, something you watched, something you did. So do you guys have any idea of anything that is made you happy this week, per se?
Trying to think of something like specific.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys get the same as me with this. Do you ever get the thing where you... this can be really... It might sound really strange. Do you ever get the thing where you start to understand your body a little bit more?
No.
Or your mind?
Not at all.
No.
Okay. So, right. Okay. Trying not to go down a bit of a rabbit hole with this. If I ever feel like I'm suffering a little bit of depression, because I've had depression since 2011, one of the things that I like to do is, well, don't like to do. One of the things that I do is that I will take myself off to a bedroom or what have you like that, and I end up putting time into thinking about why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Okay, how I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, what's causing it, and what have you. And it kind of leads to me sort of understanding myself a little bit better. It's really odd, I know, but sometimes, like, I can do this. I've been doing this for years, but sometimes I can come away from a situation and actually realize something that I didn't realize before because of like another input. Okay, so for example, just in the past kind of couple of weeks, I have several books I've been writing on and off for years. And one of the things that I have realized very recently is one of the reasons I stop or lose interest in writing that book is because I tell someone about the story. And as a result, my brain releases that information and then someone else knows, and I feel like my brain relaxes and goes, oh, I don't need to keep all that information in right now. And then I end up losing interest because it's out in the open. It's publicly known. It's, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where then... So that I found out within the past like week to 2 weeks, that is literally something my brain does. And as a result of that, going forward, I'm not going to tell people about my stories. I'm going to wait until I've actually done the bloody things so that I can get them edited, put in place, and then then it's sort of there without having to, I can kind of step away back from it and be like, yes, it's done. Right, I am done. That story can go away now. And yeah, it's really weird. I do this quite a lot. I'm very good at, like, as a result, I'm very good at reading certain things with people that I'm close to. I can tell when my wife is feeling off or upset or down or what have you, and I could tell her usually before she can tell me she knows what's wrong. Like, for example, this past week, she's not had the chance to read her book recently or do her cross stitch, which she loves to do, or play her Sims or any of those sorts of things. And she was feeling down over the course of the weekend. I said, it's because you haven't had the time to do what you actually want to do. And she kind of came back and she was like, you're right, it is because I haven't had the chance to do it. And she started reading the book, and literally the day after reading the book for about an hour and a half, she was feeling so much happier as a result. Like, it's one of those things. It means I can read myself better, and I feel like I can read other people that I'm close to better, and not in a bad way, no negatives to it, just, yeah, that's something that's brought me sort of happiness, kind of understanding myself a little bit better.
On the thing about like your book and you losing interest, it's actually a very, very common thing. It's one of the reasons why it's actually recommended that, like, if you have a goal in mind that you're trying to achieve, you don't tell people what your goal is until you've already achieved it, because your brain can't actually tell the difference between what has already happened and what you're telling people you want to happen. The act of putting it out there makes your brain think that it has happened. And so you get the release of dopamine as if you had completed the goal. without actually doing the work of completing the goal. It's one of the reasons why most people's New Year's resolutions actually fail, because what do we do for the first month of every single year? My resolutions this, my resolutions is that. All year, every single person you meet for like the first like 3 weeks of the year is, hey, what's your New Year's resolution? And so you're saying it over and over what you're wanting to do, and then you just you lose motivation because you've already gotten the dopamine hit without doing any of the work. And then you go to do the work and your brain's like, why would I don't want to do this, is hard, I already got the dopamine.
Right.
That makes sense.
That makes sense too.
So yeah, if you want to actually complete any of your goals, don't fucking tell anyone.
There you go. Let's see.
Oh, there's a caveat with that. Neurodivergence.
Oh, there-
Specifically ADHD people. You guys are dopamine deficient. Telling people probably not actually giving you that dopamine hit. In fact, you should tell people because they'll hold you accountable.
There you go. There you go. All right. So I don't know if you didn't have a thing yet, but I'll give you one. So I feel like it's more of my. I guess I'm happy for Faye, because Faye has been like for your job per se, because like I've been with Faye's been living with me for at least since October, and it's been like a long journey of trying to locate work and such, and yeah, I've been here, so I'm just excited that you have a job and you got a routine and you're going, you're making the money and all the things that come along with job, so I feel just as happy, with that. It doesn't leave Ragnar to be up my butt a lot more because you're not here, but he is a human, neither person, so cat, so he needs like some kind of interaction, so that's also fine too. Because like I think it's very funny though. The last week, he is not like he's now come and it's like, I'm just gonna lie on your feet because there's no one else here except her. But still,
Dude, you gotta leave your door open at night. He started crying every single night because your door's closed. And that's making it really hard for me to sleep. Because I'm like a mom and that's my baby crying and it wakes me up. Stop it.
Okay. Well, now we need the little cat handle thing or whatever it is to keep the door open a smidge. Yeah. So, but so happy for you, job, everything, kind of progress moving forward, and starting to go in the next step of life and everything. So that's what's been making us happy for me this week. But hey, you did not share anything yet.
I mean, kind of similar. Like I'm very relieved that I have gotten a job. The job market up here is rough. It's never taken me this long. It was taking a real hit on my my self-esteem. So like I was starting to feel real crappy. So I feel like 1,000 tons has been lifted off of my shoulders, and that's got me feeling, I'm not sure if happy is the word, but definitely relieved.
No.
It was starting to like cause me to have some depression. I don't know if I was trying to hide it. I don't know if you or anybody, any of my friends noticed, but I have been like hermiting really bad. So that would probably be the most noticeable thing. It's like, I don't want to talk to anybody because I was depressed, and I didn't want to like depress all over everyone's good time. And now I feel like I can talk to people again.
Yay. That's always a good thing. That's always a good thing. But yeah. All right. So have a great end of the show again. Thanks again. You guys, just audience poll. There we go. So where to find everyone next? So Defty, when is your next stream? When people find you? Where people can find you? Give you a whole forum real quick.
Yeah, so my next stream will be Monday. I don't know what time it is for you over in the States specifically, but it's 10 p.m. GMT +1, so the Netherlands time essentially. That's when I will be going live. I'll be playing a bit of Monster Hunter for the next like 3 streams in a row because I'm really enjoying it, and I've got a friend joining me as well, which is lovely.
Nice.
But yeah, that's my main area where people can catch me.
Cool.
Twitch.
Say, when are you going to stream next? What are you going to stream next?
I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow night. Don't know what I'm streaming yet. Haven't decided yet. Y'all will know as soon as I do, which will probably
there you
be 2 minutes before stream
The
starts.
stream starts. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, tomorrow night on Twitch, I'll be there. So come say hi.
All right, and then
I'll be
we
We might be streaming together again soon.
Yeah, they're updating Scarlet Hollow on
Scarlet Hollow?
Monday.
Nice.
Yeah, we're getting a new chapter.
There you go.
I'm excited.
Nice. Well, I'll be back on Sunday, somewhere early morning Tarkov. So for all you people on the UK side of the world, come early, come catch. We start early, so I'll see you on Sunday morning. All right, thanks again, guys. Appreciate both of you, and we'll see you in the next podcast episode.
See you next month.
Bye.